All right, hey everybody out there. Good evening. Welcome to the season finale of the 573 report. It has been deemed the season finale because Mitchell Forty and I discovered we just don't have that much to say. Um there's nothing going on, and when there's nothing going on, we're not super interesting, to be quite honest with you. And I we appreciate you guys hanging out, but we don't just want to hang out on the internet and talk about nothing for an hour every Wednesday night. Because, like Mitch, I don't know, I could just text you and talk about nothing if I feel like it.
That's true. Yeah, we entertain ourselves from time to time, but trying to do it for a whole hour and like doing things other that other people might even care about a little bit is tough. Like if it was just us two, I don't know, we'd like talk about people we don't like on the internet or golf, but no
Right.
one else would find that very entertaining.
Yeah, nobody wants to watch me do a golf show. I'm pretty sure. Um, it's so basically what we're gonna do tonight's show. Kim English, George Mason basketball coach, obviously not probably the reason you all know him, but that is what he is currently doing. He's gonna hop on here with us in about 5 minutes, and we're gonna talk to Kim for a little while about his new job and all that, and then I don't know, we'll take some questions, kind of wrap up, but basically then. This show is definitely coming back in August when fall camp starts. There will be things that happen between now and then. When they do, we may periodically just say, hey, it's been 3 weeks. Let's do a show tonight. We'll give you guys, a day's lead time and all that. So we'll be here periodically throughout the summer. But I don't know, Mitch. It's been eerily quiet. Like, I understand spring football ended early. It was March 25th. But, usually in the offseason, still things happen, but nothing's even happened. Now, I say that, and I know I'm cursing us tomorrow and Friday, but.
Yeah, no, it has been for sure. I mean, it's quite a while without any news happening. We talked to Consul Martin once, but I mean, even like the basketball transfer thing has settled down a little
Yeah.
bit. The Mizzou football recruiting got off to kind of that hot start, and so that has slowed down, especially as the NCAA has allowed for visits in June, so everyone's kind of going to wait and take those visits. So like we'll have some recruiting stuff, I'm sure, to talk about in the month of June. July we'll have media days, and I'm sure we'll have a few things sprinkled here and there. But yeah, it's been a quiet little stretch here, and I'm not complaining. I'm not too upset about it.
Yeah, it's all right. Obviously the NFL draft starts tomorrow. We're not going to mess around with that a ton because we had Eric at home and did the whole draft thing last week. But just kind of a couple Mizzou things of note while we get going. The Denver Broncos trade for Teddy Bridgewater, which, like you were saying in our extensive pre-show meeting, is actually good news for Drew Lock. I mean, because the alternative is they take Trey Lance or Justin Fields or Mac Jones or whoever it is at number 9, and then there is stock in wanting that guy to start. The Broncos don't really have a
Yeah,
ton invested in Teddy Bridgewater.
right. So yeah, this my opinion is this is a good thing for Drew Lock, which probably a lot of people didn't think when they saw the news today on the surface. But and yes, Adam Schefter said, oh, this doesn't necessarily take them out of the quarterback market. I'll believe that when I see it. I think every a draft team wants to
Right.
to kind of play coy and say, well, we might still do this. It would not make a lot of sense to trade for Teddy Bridgewater and then take a quarterback in the first round. They were always going to bring in someone to compete with Lock because they don't have a backup at this point. So they were going to bring in someone, whether it be a player through the draft or veteran. They gave up like a sixth round pick for Bridgewater. That's it. And I like Teddy Bridgewater a lot. Guy I rooted for when he went to Louisville. He's always seemed like a high character dude. But like if you can't beat out Teddy Bridgewater, you probably don't have much business being a starting
Right.
quarterback anyway. So I definitely I don't think this is the worst thing for Drew Lock. Maybe it lights, not that he's lacking fire, but maybe the competition lights a little fire under him going into camp.
Is it possible at all that they trade Drew before the draft and take a quarterback tomorrow night?
Yeah,
Do you
I mean,
think?
I'm sure it's possible. I do not have sources within the
Yeah.
the Broncos organization, but yeah, I'm sure that's possible. If some team's interested and has draft capital they're interested
Right.
in, maybe you bring in Bridgewater to kind of mentor the next guy who you're planning to draft and move throughout. That could happen. Crazier things have happened. I would be a little surprised at this point. I always thought the most, realistic thing was, or at least the best option was going to be to bring in another guy to compete with Drew, give him slash Bridgewater, this season to see what they can do with a healthy team. And if it doesn't work, I'm all for pulling the plug, firing the coach, tanking, and trying to get the number one pick in next year's draft and start from there.
Absolutely. So, I really have no reason to watch the draft tomorrow night. I usually watch the first round, but there's no Mizzou guys probably going to be picked. I think at this point it's a big upset if Nick Bolton goes in the first round and the Chiefs don't have a pick. So I'm just going to tune in on Friday. I don't really see any need for me to watch tomorrow night. But we know what the first two picks are, and you're San Francisco at number 3. Now, Kyle Shanahan warned us, look, we don't even know if we're going to be alive tomorrow, so they may not have a pick tomorrow night. But if they do have a pick, who would you take?
That's the most coach line of all time. Like when Barry Odom would always say day to day. Like,
right.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I mean, I don't think I would pick Mac Jones at number 3. I don't know. We talked about this a little bit last week. It's crazy to me how much quarterbacks have gotten overvalued to the point that, like, if you've got a sure thing like Trevor Lawrence, yes, you take him because that can change your franchise. But like a guy like Mac Jones or even Justin Fields or Trey Lance, like there's enough question marks there that I would be really tempted to say, I know the first 2 picks are going to be quarterbacks. I can get basically the best available overall prospect in the draft at number 3. That's hard to pass on. That said, the 49ers do have a lot on their roster. It's not like they have, gaping holes. I'm sure they have positions of need. And quarterback, has been a little iffy with Jimmy G, ineffective and or hurt a lot. So I guess, if I had to pick a quarterback that wasn't Trevor Lawrence Zach Wilson, it would be Justin Fields. But that does not seem like what the 49ers are going to do.
Right. I mean, truthfully, if I was picking number 3, I'd probably pick Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, someone like that. Yeah, I'd probably pick Kyle Pitts, although they have a good tight end.
But. They do, but I wouldn't have traded in number 3 because I don't get this need that, hey, the first 5 picks in the draft have to be quarterbacks. But whatever. Then again, my team better not pick a quarterback for the next 12 years. The salary cap has already been paid 7 times to the quarterback they have. So, hey, you talked to while we're at it, while we're waiting here on our guest, you talked to Larissa Anderson this morning. Softball is not a thing we do a ton of, but kind of part of a series you're starting tomorrow. But also, hey, Missouri has a big softball series this weekend.
Yeah, so I'm not going to give away the full the story series we're going to starting next week. I think it's kind of fun. I think you all will like it. Just kind of an off-season deal, but it'll span a few different weeks and give people a chance to kind of look back. But I did talk to Larissa Anderson, and softball's been playing really well. They swept Mississippi State 2 weekends ago, took 2 out of 3 from Arkansas last weekend, so they're right there in the thick of the SEC regular season title race, and they host a top 5 team this weekend in Florida. And, I thought she did a good job of summing it up where, she said, we want to be in this position, and this is a big step forward to just be in the talk of for a title. And we embrace that. It's not something we shy away from, but you also can't, make it to where one series is the season because you play a lot of good teams in the SEC. You can't get too caught up in any one regular season series. So certainly, though, if they are able to take 2 of 3 or somehow even sweep this series, it would go a long way towards putting them towards the top in the SEC standings.
For sure. So yeah, big series in Columbia this weekend. I mean, I didn't see. I know the potential regional host came out Monday. I'm assuming Missouri was one of them. I actually, honestly, kind of missed that news, but they could be hosting in the NCAA tournament. Real quick before we move on, and I know Kimmy's going to be dialing in here in just a minute. Want to remind you guys, which I should have done at the top of the show. This show is the 573 Report, which is brought to you by 573 Tees, oddly enough. Actually, they are online, 573tees.com, but there's also going to be a physical location in Columbia coming up here pretty soon. And when that's open and finalized, we'll let you guys know about that, where you can go and where you can get this stuff actually in person. For those of you who are local, I was down there today and picked up some T-shirts for another show I do with the fine gentlemen JG Tate and Neil McCready. Those are on Twitter. We're hoping to maybe mass produce those. By mass, I mean more than like the 10 we got right now. But we'll see how that goes. So they've got good stuff. They'll do custom orders. They take care of you. 573tees.com. Check them out. And give them some business. Buy your T-shirts, make your T-shirts, whatever it is you want to do. If you just come up with an idea and call them and say, "Hey, I want this on a T-shirt," I don't know. I assume they'll do that. It's pretty easy these days. So everybody can be a T-shirt maker. I don't think that's the actual phrase, to be quite honest with you, but
yeah,
we'll see.
That works.
Okay, so. All right, Mitch, if you can fill for just a second, I am trying to solve a technical issue.
All right,
so just
good.
talk about whatever you want to talk about.
All right, cool. Well, obviously, I think the one issue we've had mentioned by a few different people here in the comments is Jamison Williams, the receiver from Ohio State who entered the transfer portal today. We'll start with this. They definitely expect Missouri to be interested. Jamison Williams was a 4-star guy coming out of St. Louis, played at Cardinal Ritter. Played 2 seasons at Ohio State. He didn't play much his first year and then played a bit this past season. You might remember if you watched the college football playoff semifinal against Clemson. He had a big game. I think he had 2 long touchdowns. Fast kid, kind of a deep threat. Played some special teams. Really was a bit surprised that he transferred because, I mean, I thought he played a good number of snaps for basically a redshirt freshman at Ohio State this past season, especially as the season went on. But their receiver room is loaded. Alabama's been rumored to be in the hunt, and that obviously is tough to beat. But for a kid who's transferring, saying, ostensibly for more playing time, it wouldn't make a ton of sense, I don't think, to go to Alabama, which might be the most loaded receiver room in the country outside of Ohio State. So we'll see. I have no idea what Missouri's chances are, but I'm pretty confident they will at least pursue. Where are we at, Gabe?
Okay. Yeah, we have I got a notification that Kim English has joined. He is currently, I can't see him or hear him. I believe his microphone is muted, but we'll get this. We'll get him on with us here shortly. And there's Kim. Kim, what's up, man? I believe you are on mute. There should be a microphone button somewhere on there if you can unmute yourself.
There we go. Is that wait, did I flip my camera?
I can now hear you, but I am also looking at your refrigerator, maybe? Dishwasher?
Wait, hold on. We're going to get this.
Yeah, that's cool. You're not actually on screen yet, so okay. That's good. But okay, perfect. Go. There is Kim English, and by the magic of technology, here pretty soon is Kim English on your screen, even though, well, that's me. Kim, we got you on screen, man. We got it figured out. So appreciate you joining us, man. I think I'm confident to say that you are the only Division I basketball coach whose commitment story has appeared on PowerMizzou.com. So you know what that means, man? We're getting old. We've been around a while.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think of it that way, but yes, we are getting old.
Yeah, I mean, you'll never catch me. I mean, you got that going for you. I'm always going to be a little bit ahead of you. But what have the last few weeks been like for you, man? Just you get this job and I'm sure you're moving and trying to get everything settled. What's been going on?
Yeah, no, it was definitely crazy. Do I sound okay?
You sound great, man. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, no, it was definitely crazy. It was, I mean, every coach says it's a whirlwind, and it is. It is that. And because, I mean, you go from being a coach with all these great ideas and thoughts. And, I mean, you've always thought about what your program would look like in the preparation process. But now it's like, here are the keys. And you have a Zoom call at 12 p.m. with your team, and all of them are in the portal. Good luck. And your initial reaction is like, I want to keep some of these guys. So, I spent the first few days, ignoring every single text. My text messages got up to 1,200 unread text messages. 850 missed calls. My voice mailbox was done. My DMs on both Twitter and Instagram were like ridiculous. And as an assistant coach, communication is like the bedrock, because you always want to keep open lines of communication with players. You never know what conversation could lead to what involvement with which player. So like that was really overwhelming for me. Like, it may sound stupid, but to have 1,200 unread text and 850 missed calls was very overwhelming for me, because I didn't know what was sitting at text number 400. Like, was it this really good player I needed to get done? Come to find out, I did miss out on some prospects because of that 2-day time period. But I focused my attention right away on retention of our current student athletes. And I was just getting to know those guys more than the recruitment of them, just getting to know them. So I spent a lot of time on phone with those guys. I had to, as best I could, get as much stuff as I could and ready to head up to Virginia to get to work. I had to assemble my staff right away, because what I also realized right away was really, really important. And just to have those guys help me recruit some of our current guys, help me recruit some, guys we're going to add. It was a lot, and then there's the former player side of it. It's the donor side of it. I had to get with people who are important to the success of our program. It was overwhelming, to say the least. Some really cool things happened though when I got the job. Some of the some college and NBA head coaches that reached out to me on phone calls. One call I got was from Mike Boynton from Oklahoma State. Mm-hmm. He could hear the excitement in my voice, and that I was going a million miles a minute. I was on a plane in Boston and headed back, and he was like, "Do me a favor." I was like, "What's up?" He said, "Take a deep breath." He said, "You're not gonna win 20 games tomorrow."
Yeah.
And it kind of dawned on me that I was moving at a pace like I was going to win tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I was in Boston's airport, and I seen Earl Grant, who just got the job at Boston College from the College of Charleston. So I went up and I spoke to Earl, and I'm just like, "Hey, man, how's it been? Like, I know it's been crazy." And he was like, "Yeah, I'm actually headed down to South Carolina to watch my boys play a baseball game." And I was like, "Wait, what?" like what? Like, I was in Boston visiting one of our kids in a portal, and I was going back to have dinner with another kid in the portal's family, and I was like, it wasn't no kids baseball games on my radar. But once my staff got in, once I felt really good about the guys that we were going to add, once I felt really good about the guys we were going to keep, it all settled down. It's been great. It's just been really fun.
Well, Kim, thanks again for joining us. I'm sure this is something you've talked about a lot, both at your opening press conference and media availability since then. But George Mason, as a program, is a name people will probably remember from their run in 2006. They made several NCAA tournaments in the early 2000s under Jim Larinaga, but hasn't maybe been there in the past few years. But what do you see as just kind of the opportunity at that program?
It's what attracted me to it. I remember. 2006 well. I mean, I'm from just up the road, about 50 minutes north of here in Baltimore. It's the most fertile recruiting in the country. There's no region of basketball anywhere in America with more players in this 2-hour-mile radius from Philadelphia to Southern Virginia. Like, I may not have to get on a plane in the class of 2022 and 2023. Wow. There's that many players here, and that's really exciting. Since 2006, they've jumped from the CAA to the Atlantic 10, which is also really exciting. A great and storied basketball league with great coaches, great players, great programs that have had a ton of success, that have been to Final Fours, that has, kicked out NBA talent. That's a multi-bid league. It was a lot of things that we're really excited about this place, but as we started to really think about making this a possibility, the alignment with our leadership was really exciting. Like our president, Greg Washington, our athletic director, Brad Edwards, like they want this program to be successful. And that's the only way I operate. I mean, when I was at the University of Missouri, I did not think Kentucky or Kansas was a better basketball situation than Mizzou, right? Like when I was at the University of Tulsa, we were going toe-to-toe with Big 12 programs for players. When I was at Colorado, I thought that it was creme de la creme. When I was at Tennessee, I was on record saying I would leave Tennessee for, there was no assistant job in America that I would leave Tennessee for. So every place that I've been, I've really dug my heels in and had great conviction about that place. And now, obviously, I left Tulsa, I left Colorado, but I never thought of leaving any of those places until something was put in front of my face. I didn't pursue any job. Tulsa to Colorado, Colorado to Tennessee, I never have pursued a job in my career. They've always, it's come to me, but I think it's because of how committed I am to the place I'm at. And I think this place can be special. I don't want to compare it to programs, but I think this place can be one of the best programs in the country, regardless of status, of mid-major, high major, whatever you want to call it. I think we can compete for players. I think we can compete on the court with any program in the country. And maybe that's my young, dumb ambition, but like, we'll see. We'll see.
Hey, nobody wants to hear the coach say, yeah, we're not good enough, right? You got to have that attitude if you're going to make it.
I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, people watching along on the stream, feel free to shoot questions in the comments. If we've got time toward the end, we'll ask a couple of those to Kim. But, you know, it's funny. I had forgotten until Mitch mentioned George Mason in 2006. You know where I was when George Mason made the Final Four? I was in Mizzou Arena waiting for Mike Anderson's introductory press conference at Missouri. That was the same day we actually watched that game in the basement of Mizzou Arena. So kind of along those lines, I wanted to ask you, you played for Mike, you played for Frank, you've worked for Frank, worked for Tad Boyle, for Rick Barnes. What kind of pieces from those guys do you take into now your first chance to be the guy? Because what everybody says that has always been an assistant, the first time they say the head coaches always tell you, you don't know how different it is sitting in this chair until you sit in this chair. So what do you take from those guys you've been around?
Yeah, I've been preparing. That's a great question. And honestly, not many people know this, but I have a document on my laptop that I mess with and I tweak every year. I mean, maybe monthly in season. The title on my computer is HC Doc. It's my head coaching document. And it's what my program will look like. And I've had this since I was a player at Missouri. Like my senior year, I felt like I was going to coach. And I just started to think of everything from scheduling to spring practice to summer practices to recruiting to the defense, offense, literally everything about the program you could think of. And throughout the years, if Coach Hay would do something, if Mike Anderson did something that I really, really liked, it's in that head coach and document. If Frank Haith did something I liked, I put it in. If we're at Tulsa and Coach Haith did something I didn't like, I'd write myself a little reminder, like, I remember not liking this as an assistant, right? And I after every season, towards the end, I kind of just go back and I read front to back each season. And I get to tweak stuff because of experiences that had just happened with Tad. I love Tad Boyle. 90% of college basketball games are won before the ball is ever thrown up. Like, that is in my mind from a standpoint of preparation. When I talk about my players, my student athletes' mental health, Frank Haith was so far ahead of his time with the way he coached us as far as, first of all, the style of play. Our 4-out, 1-in, 5-out system is the reason Mike Bray did what he did at Notre Dame. It's the reason Bill Self did what he did when he went small. Like, we were the first college basketball team to do what Alabama did this season. Like it was very modern for that time and that era. And I talked to him the other day. I said we probably should have shot about 15 more threes a game. What Coach Barnes, I mean, ridiculous impact on me in just 2 seasons. But like, it's a little bit of all those guys. You know, the hopefully the toughness and the fundamentals that Mike Anderson instilled in us every single day in practice. You know, I didn't understand it at the time, but there was brilliance in Mike Anderson's simplicity. Yeah. We did the same passing drills every single day, and I used to think, man, these 8th grade drills we're doing, like, man, I'm a brilliant basketball mind. Like, give me something. And then I get into coaching, and I look back, and I'm like, we led the nation in assists one year, and we led the nation in assist to turnover ratio. Like, it's because all of those fundamental passing drills we did every day. And I talked about the confidence with Coach Hape, the confidence that he instills in players. Like, I so want for my players to look at me the way Mark and Phil Pressey and Mike Dixon and myself looked at Frank Hape. Yeah. Tad Boyle's conviction in his program. If you looked at Tad Boyle in the face and said, Coach, I want to go to Duke or Kentucky and not Colorado, he would look at you like you were crazy. He thinks that the Colorado Buffalo is the best job. It's the best job in America. And, dude, if you don't want to come, if you want to go to Kentucky, you know what? I don't even want you. Like, I want to have that type of belief in the place that I'm in. Coach Barnes is toughness. I mean, the toughness of our program every single day will always withstand the test of time. And I'm still saying our program, the toughness in their program will always withstand the test of time. Yeah. And our guys will be incredibly tough and disciplined, and it's an everyday thing.
Kim, you talked already a little bit about, the transfer portal, and obviously the NCAA just approved the one-time free waiver, and we've seen players enter the portal in record numbers this offseason. Certainly different, when you are taking over a new program for a coach that's been let go. But how do you see, this rule creating challenges for a mid-major program, and how do you see it potentially creating opportunities?
I just realized something when you were talking. Gabe introduced you as Mitch. You're Mitchell 40, aren't you?
Yes. I am, yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's me.
Yes. I see it. I see the awareness of the head. I see the.
There you go. Yeah. I should have done that introduction. I forgot that he came here after you were not here any longer.
And you enunciate your words and you speak with great inflection, just like your dad. And I see that now.
I have been told we talk alike.
Yeah. Now I got it. Sorry, I was distracted.
Oh, you're good.
But how does the portal impact us?
Just the the one-time transfer waiver. I guess how do you see it impacting a school like George Mason?
So the former player in me is like, dude, more power to the players, man. Go get it. Mm-hmm. Like, coaches get to leave and go play. You go do what you got to do. Like, it puts pressure. It puts pressure on coaches to live up to the promises that you make in recruiting. It puts pressure on coaches to, like, I always say this, players have a PhD in knowing if you care about them or not. Like, they have a PhD in it. And it puts pressure on you to be real every day. Like, be real with playing time. Why aren't you playing? Like, coach, what do I need to do to play? Be honest with that answer and that response. And, like, you're going to do the best you can to keep your best players. But the flip side is if guys don't like their situations, if guys want more minutes or more shots or whatever it may be, and they decide to go elsewhere and they don't like their role on this team, the beauty of the portal is it's a two-way street. Mm-hmm. So if you want to go somewhere else, that opens up the door for someone else to come in here. And that's fine. Like, we lost a player to a high major conference, bringing in a player from a high major conference. Mm-hmm. Like, it's fine. It's good. We lost another player to another high major conference, bringing in another player. Like, it's I get it. Like, I think it's great.
Kim, is the downside of it? You tell me if I'm wrong here, but the only downside I think of what kind of the transfer culture has become is that a class like you and Marcus and Lawrence that doesn't exist in college basketball anymore. Because the fans your senior year, yes, they loved watching you guys play, but they loved watching you play in part because you'd been there for 4 years and they watched what you were as freshmen all the way through, and the connection is a little bit less.
No doubt. And I've been talking here with our, marketing and social media team about, like, I want to give our fans incredible access because I want them to know our players and know their stories. I think Baylor loves their guys,
right,
even though
right.
come from UNLV and Firm. I think they come from other places.
You hold up those trophies. That's a quick way to get everybody to love you, right?
And I think it's just incumbent on us to get those stories out there earlier and keep bringing in the right kind of guys. But yes, I don't think it's impossible. I think it takes a little bit more work to work with Lawrence Bowers through the first 2 years of less minutes, right? To be able to work through Marcus Denmon's first seasons of not being a starter. To have a sit down with Mike Dixon and say, listen, we're bringing in this really good point guard named Bill Pressey. Like, you guys can play together. You guys are going to play together. That's in our vision. And even if Mike Dixon thought about transferring and Lawrence Bauer thought about transferring, if Marcus Denmon, me, after my junior year, thought about transferring, you always have in the back of your mind, like, I really want to sit out for a year. I had to think about that. Like, I'm 22 right now. Do I want to be 24 trying to get an NBA? Like, maybe I don't want to. So now, in that moment of disappointment or upsetness, now a kid could make a snap decision and say, I'm out. Because there is nothing holding them back. So, again, it falls back on the coaches. It falls back on the surrounding. But I think great cultures will do just fine in this era, right? Like, I think the Villanovas, the Virginias, the Gonzagas, the Baylors, the Kansases, all the programs with great culture. I omit my last school. I apologize. And I think they'll stand the test of this.
Yeah.
Kim, I'm actually going to steal a question from one of our viewers because I had it written down as well, and I think it's a good question. It's from Drew Guys, this is something I picked up from your introductory press conference as well. But he says, how have you already made an impact on international recruiting, and how big of an emphasis do you place on that in your program? I know that's something that you've talked about since getting to George Mason.
Yeah, we're going to get the best high school players we can. We're going to get the best international players we can. We're going to get the best transfers we can. I think player acquisition is so important. I've always said, I don't think if your play style is not mimicking the NBA, I think you're probably missing the boat a little bit. I think if your player acquisition styles aren't mimicking the NBA, I think you're probably missing the boat a little bit. And global scouting of talent has been a part of the NBA for maybe 25 years now, and it's hyping up and it's ramping up. And we have signed a player from Senegal and we signed a player from Australia in our first 4 weeks on the job. I played internationally. I have great relationships internationally with my former clubs, with my best recruiters, my teammates that are still over there right now, kind of keeping an eye on those young clubs. That's has always been something that I've used. I like to say I got a all-time home visit with my guy, Phil Pressey, and we're sorry now in Spain and Germany right now. Phil's in Germany, Marcus in China, Mike everywhere, Ricardo in South Korea, and so many more, like just friends that are now playing. So a guy that I got drafted. So first and foremost, I have an assistant coach named Nate Thomason, who is Australian. Right. Played against Nate at Colorado when I played in the Big 12. We worked together at Colorado. He is a really good basketball coach in all three facets: player development, game planning and scouting and recruiting. He's a pit bull recruiter. And he was recruiting a kid named Josh Giddey a few years ago. Josh Giddey is going to be a lottery pick. Josh Giddey visited one college, I think. It was Colorado. If Josh Giddey went to college, he would have went to Colorado, and that was 100% because of Nate. He decided to go pro in Australia and play at the NBL. It was a great decision. I think he'll be a lottery pick in July's draft. Through watching all of Josh Giddey's games, Nate also got to see Blake Jones. At TC, we had a kid named Santi Vescovi, who was also at the Institute in Australia. Santi Vescovi and Blake Jones were teammates. So Nate and I both intersected, not scouting Blake, but just watching his team, knew he was a good young player with high upside and high growth. And Nate got on him right away. Nate wasn't even here. I was at a pizza place getting dinner just like this with my phone it's on a candle now, but it was on a pizza box. And I talked to Blake Jones, maybe my second day on the job on FaceTime. And we just recruited him really hard. We really believe in him. We believe in his upside. I think if Blake Jones went to school on the West Coast, he'd be playing in the Pac-12 next season. And a kid named Mo Mbai, who's from Senegal, naturally, but he was actually going to school in America, playing in the grind session at Colorado Prep. He actually had high major recruitment. Louisville, good program. Colorado was recruiting him. Colorado had a lot of bigs in their front, had a lot of players in their front court. But I think the other high major schools that didn't end up with Mo Mbai was because everyone's so portal happy right now. Mm-hmm. Everyone is just obsessed with the portal, that some really good 2021 players are falling through the cracks. Like, I watched a kid on film today from Baltimore. It's a 2021 kid from Baltimore. And I'm watching him on tape, and he's reclassing back to 22. And I'm like, this kid is good. But even the low major programs, they want to be old. Mm-hmm. They don't want freshmen. They want old guys. They want the guys that didn't have success at Southeast Missouri State that may go down to a lower level or Missouri State, all the way down. Like, everyone can feed off of the portal. The high majors are getting those transfers. The mid majors are getting those. The mid majors are getting some of those from the low. Right. Everyone's so here that the class of 2021 is like, what about us? And, I think Mo was a guy that we got to get. And for us to have two big guys in our program that are young and talented right now, but both have high upside and growth was major for us.
Kim, we don't want to tie you up all night, but you mentioned something interesting there about, look, you're a relationship guy, right? Like, you get to know people and stay in touch with them. You're a face to. How much are you looking forward to June 1st, all this ending, and you get to, whether it's go to a gym and watch an AAU event or have a kid actually on campus, be the first time in 15 months you've gotten to recruit anybody in person?
I know the last time Coach Barnes and I went to a game was the Tennessee State Championship game as Chandler. Wow. That was the last player we seen, and we got him. And it's crazy to think we haven't been on the road in that long. I'm excited. It's going to start with inviting kids to campus now. The NABC is discussing options for us to get off campus and go to watch. But I'm really excited, and I've had to do it. But to be honest, I've hated watching these games on video. Yeah. I've hated watching the dad with his camera yelling at the ref and then shaking, and it's just been it's been really hard to evaluate these games on these cameras. And so I like to get in the gym and sit close and watch the timeouts and watch him interact with his teammates and listen. It's just so many things you can't get on film. I'm at Peach Jam or anywhere.
Kim, I know we always like to tie it back to Mizzou at some point. So I know head coaches, a lot of times they like to bring in people to talk to the team throughout the course of a season, right? Who, if you had to pick one former teammate of yours at Missouri to come in and get the team fired up before a game, who are you picking?
Andrew Jones.
There you
Two
go.
Sporter.
Andrew Jones, without a doubt. He is He's been asking for Tulsa gear, Colorado gear, Tennessee, and now Mason gear. I've not got him a shirt yet. I actually had it to bring to Columbia this year, but I forgot it at the last minute. My boy Big AJ will get the boys fired up.
Hey, I've seen Andrew Jones at Arrowhead Stadium. There's not a more fired up human being than that on the planet. I can tell you that. So, all right, we're gonna end you here, Kim, with another question from a viewer. This one maybe not quite as serious as the last one. Davin wants to know what George Mason's version of Cougars for Kimmy is now that you're going to be the head coach there. These people got long memories, man.
I don't know. I'm not the Cougars for Kimmy. They are their own entity.
There you go. Well, hey, man, I know you've got a ton of stuff going on. We appreciate you taking some time and hanging out with us. And a lot of people out this way are going to be watching next season.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you guys and MIZ.
All right. Thanks a lot, Kimmy. Have a good one, man. Kim English from George Mason now, the head basketball coach at George Mason. And look, like I said, man, the only I think the only Division I coach I've covered, at this point in time. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe there'll be another one out there, but he's the only one I know of.
Yeah. Well, you've covered as not only a player but a recruit. That's pretty crazy.
Look, I remember talking to Kim the day he committed, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whew, man. So I've been doing this a minute, but I definitely appreciate the time. And look, I thought it was pretty interesting. He said he started his binder when he was a player. I mean, that's the kind of guy that becomes a mid-major head coach at 33 years old.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's really impressive. And just, really interesting to hear about, the challenges you're dealing with as far as, not only, any coach right now, it's hard to retain and assemble a roster with all the different stuff going on, especially this off season. What part of the reason this is, I'm going off on a little tangent here, but, talking about 2021 guys slipping through the cracks, I don't think that's just because of the portal. It's because of the extra year that was given to COVID, which is something we've been talking about for a while. A lot of high school kids are going to miss out on an opportunity as a result, but just hearing all the different stuff that you would have to go through as a first-time head coach. I mean, I think it probably takes me about a year to get 1,200 text messages.
I definitely have never. I'm also not one of those people that can take a screenshot of my phone with 1,500 unread emails. Dude, when I get an email, I look at it and I delete 98% of them because 98% of them are crap. But I don't want to see that huge number on my phone. So
yeah, I agree. But I think that just shows that we're not quite in this high of demand.
Yeah. I mean, if I get 1,200 text messages, 500 of them are from my wife and 400 of them are from you or Dave Matter. So
yeah, if I get even a quarter of that many in a short period, something better be on fire. We better have some crazy news going on.
Yeah. All right. So look, I was not going to put this on Kim, but we've had a bunch of people mention it in the comments. So we're just going to address it real quick, kind of finish up this way. Like Hanzo, but if it would be hard pressed to find a better guy than Kim if he comes in a couple years, basically. Look, we know that's out there, right? But Kim hadn't coached a game. I'm sure he is focused on George Mason. And here's the other thing, man. You got to think long and hard about taking a job at your alma mater, because if you go ask Kim Anderson what his relationship is with Missouri today, it isn't very good. If you ask Barry Odom what his relationship is with Missouri, it isn't very good. Going home is, man, that's tough. I remember when Mike Anderson got hired at Arkansas, and there were Arkansas people that said, I don't want to do this because someday we're going to have to fire him and it's going to suck. And that's what happened, and most coaches get fired, and that's a hard thing when it's your school.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's, obviously it's great for Kim to get a head coaching job this early, but it's honestly probably good for Mizzou too, because almost no matter where he was on the coaching ladder, there was going to be, some people who threw out, we should hire Kim English. And now at least you will have the opportunity to evaluate him as a head coach. So that is definitely more helpful. And I think that will, more than anything else, determine whether or not he's seriously considered. I mean, like, yes, there's this big trend going on right now of hiring, alums, former players, former successful players who can, connect with recruits. I mean, Kim, what he's said, like you said, he's 36 years old. He should be able to connect to recruits. But Missouri, I would think, would be a little bit more immune from that instinct because of the fact that it recently hired 2 alums in both football and basketball, and neither one worked out. So we'll see.
And so, look, there's a long way to go. I think it'd be great if it was a conversation at some point. And I understand the natural reaction is to ask that question. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is the same fan base who has tried to hire Chase Daniel as offensive coordinator 15 consecutive off seasons, and he's still playing in the NFL. So, just keep asking. You never know. Maybe eventually Kimmy comes back. But, it'd be interesting. I'd love to see, George Mason maybe come play here. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that's a thing Konzo would be interested in or Kim would be interested in, to be quite honest. But, look, there are enough terrible games in a basketball season. Like, schedule me something that entertains me. Kim English coaching George Mason at Mizzou Arena would entertain me.
Absolutely. Give us some storylines in the non-con. That's why I get why fans don't think this way, but I'm always all for play SLU, play Missouri State, play all the local schools, play,
not that one.
the regional, non-SEC members, Kansas State, all of them, and then give me George Mason in here with Kim or any other storyline you can think of.
All right, there you heard it. Mitch is going to spend the next 2 months designing Missouri's basketball schedule. We've got UMKC, SLU, Missouri State, George Mason, Kansas State already. Illinois on there.
And
you're halfway
Utah,
done.
Utah, but they're going to bail at the last minute.
Utah's never going to play here. No,
the
question.
Annual tradition.
No question. So, well, guys, I hope you enjoyed hearing from Kim, and we definitely enjoyed catching up with him. It really didn't cross my mind that that I hadn't used your full name. The moment where he discovered who you were was by far the best part of the show. So
I've talked to him via podcast before, but I guess there was no video involved, so it probably didn't click. I would say, I'll say hey at a recruiting thing, but those aren't a thing anymore. I haven't been on at a recruiting event with actual coaches there in 2 years. So that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you guys watching, not only tonight, but all along. And again, we'll be back, periodically. We'll kind of update you. Hey, this is going on. So maybe we'll jump on and do a show, when 7 4-stars transfer to Missouri in the next month or whatever. Hey, we'll do a show about it. But until then, we're going to just kind of hang out, see what happens, maybe play a little golf, and I don't know. Maybe we'll work again on July 22nd when Eli Drinkwitz talks at SEC Media Days.
That would be fine with me if we can make it that long.
So all right, Mitch, talk to you July 22nd, man. Thanks for hanging out.
All right. Yeah, right. Sounds great.
Once again, before you guys sign off, we're still going to have some video and stuff throughout the summer. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, let people know what we're doing over here. We're going to have big plans for next season and all that. And like I said, we'll be here now and again. 573 Tees has sponsored this show all year long. Check them out at 573tees.com. Once again, there is going to be a physical location in Columbia. We're going to definitely, going into football season, we're going to let you guys know all about that. It should be up and going by then. So when you're in town, you've got a place to maybe go buy some new gear. But appreciate the guys at 573 Tees helping us out and being a part of this, making it possible. Thanks to Kim English for joining us. And I don't know, guys. We'll talk to you when we talk to you. Thanks.